League's in good hands, has a bright future ahead, while others argue the league is in jeopardy of not having an obvious next face of the association. Former NBA champion Channing Frye fired up comparing the generation of today's players versus the previous. Take a listen.
Nostalgia is killing the NBA. The 90s basketball, Michael Jordan and Kobe, was not as clean as y'all think it was. Wemby, Bron, Steph, this, that. They compare them to 40 years ago. The rules weren't even the same. Nobody celebrates these new people. So why the would anybody want to be the face of this league where you're going to get on every network for not being somebody from 40 years ago?
Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah. Well, a couple of things. Number one, respect to Channing Frye, a champion. By the way, teammates, just looking at some of his teammates here that he's had. LeBron won the title with LeBron in Cleveland. Steve Nash, Dwayne Wade, Kyrie Irving, Stephon Marbury, Amari Stoudemire. Those were all his teammates at some point in time in his career. Brother knows basketball. I just respectfully disagree with him and what he was saying. And I think that he's falling into the trap that a lot of modern-day players want him to fall into, which is to blame the media. Nah, we ain't going for that. Here's the reason why. Fellas, the rules have changed. The level of physicality that once existed in the league no longer exists. As a result of that, looking at the absence, not to say that the NBA isn't physical, please don't get me wrong. It's not to say that it's not taxing on its body. But what pioneers in the game had to endure in order to elevate the game to its present state, that what happens today pales in comparison to what those experiences were. And so when you see cats missing games, because for years we were lamenting load management, when you see cats showing up to All-Star Weekend not giving a damn because they're complaining about the inordinate amount of obligations surrounding All-Star Weekend, which are legit complaints, by the way, but still shouldn't stop you from performing. And you see these kind of complaints with the inordinate amount of dollars, the exorbitant dollars, generational wealth, as you would point out, Shannon, that these players now receive compared to their predecessors. What is there to celebrate to the degree that we once celebrated folks in the past? I'm not saying that you don't celebrate today's game. LeBron James hasn't cheated the game. Steph Curry hasn't cheated the game. Russell Westbrook's never cheated the game. There's a plethora of stars that have never, ever cheated the game. But when you see the nonchalance with which far too many players have gotten away with in terms of load management, in terms of finding out that guys are not playing games once you get to the arena and stuff like that, it is taxing. Then you look at an Anthony Edwards, for example, and he says, why the hell would somebody want to be the face of the league? All right, it's your right not to want to be the face of the league, but why did we want? People keep forgetting why we wanted to see Anthony Edwards as the face of the league. We wanted to see him embrace that. The brother looks Jordan-esque. Been working on his jumper, by the way. We see the athleticism, right? But we also see a smile that can rival Magic Johnson. We also see an affable, a personality and somebody that just wants to hoop and enjoys competition and going at it, right? Obviously, he's got the personality to go with the game. And then he was on the record a couple of years ago saying, man, if you healthy, you ain't supposed to be sitting out. If you can play, play. So he was saying, look to me because I'm not looking to take nights off. That's when he made that statement you remember that, Tim?
Yeah.
So those kind of things are the things, respectfully, that I think Channing Frye left out as to why there may be skepticism. This feeling that the media has an obligation to celebrate the game. No, the media has the obligation to report on the game, to pontificate about the game, to speak on the game, not to celebrate it. We celebrate it by our participation and making sure that we shine a light on your product so people can gravitate to it. But how we talk about it is based on what we see you exhibit. Not to just come up with the peddle you with flowers and all of this other stuff, no matter what you do. That's not our job. And I think Channing Frye missed that respectfully.
But see, everything you said, You talked about the guys that came before Anthony Edwards, what they did. They didn't load manage. Who did Jordan get compared to? Who did Magic? They didn't do no comparison. But all we do is every time somebody does something, Kobe would have done it better. Michael Jordan would have done it better. Oh, he wasn't better than this. It's called evolution. Nobody wants to see those 73, 72 ball games legs. You know that. There were games that were ending 65, 68. Who in the hell want to see 65, 68? Baseball, until they started hitting it over the park, that's when the fans started like, ooh, we love baseball. Nobody wants to see a 10-7 football game. Yes, they've changed the rule. It's called evolution. And sometimes you have to evolve to make the game better. It's just like the workforce. What do people want to do now, Stephen A? Work from home. Don't nobody. They did this during the pandemic, and don't nobody want to take their ass back to work.
Does that mean you agree with Channing?
Man, I want to sit in my home.
But does that mean you agree with Channing? Does that mean you agree with Channing Frye?
Yeah, yes, I do, because we can't let it go. We can't let Jordan. We can't let Kobe. We cannot let supposedly, allegedly, what is considered the golden era of basketball. We have yet to move on. And NBA are the only ones. Think about all the rules that the NFL has implemented that took the physicality out of the game. They've made it more offensive friendly. And what does the ratings do every single year, Stephen A? Rise. They've tried to do some additions to, and now look, I'm with you, Stephen A. You and I have been lockstep and barrel when it comes to this All-Star game. But the game itself, they've got to let Kobe go. They've got to let Jordan go. They've got to let Magic and Bird and let these young guys build this NBA in a different direction than what it was 30, 40 years ago.
All right, I'm going to take this in a totally different direction. And look, and Channing Frye specifically referenced the 90s. That's my wheelhouse. That's my era, 1990 to 2000. That was my career, the entire decade of the 90s. I understand what the game looked like then, what it looks like now. I don't harp on that very much. I don't think there's any question when you start debating physicality. It's obvious that was a more physical era of basketball because of the way the game was legislated, the way the game was officiated. It's set up now to take advantage of more highly skilled shot-making players than we've ever had. And that's what the league is right now. And I think we can all celebrate that. But here's where I really disagree with Channing Frye. When I'm out and about, I'm talking to whoever, man, the casual fan, to my close group of friends that are hoop heads that love it, to people in the industry, whatever it may be. The criticisms are not about that when people start lamenting about the game. That's not what it is. They're talking about a couple other things. The first being just when you turn it on, you want to see who you want to see. And the load management thing, to me, is a much less significant part of that than how long it takes guys to come back from injuries. I think that is frustrating for fans. That is frustrating for people to have to talk about the game on a daily basis. That's when you start making the comparisons to that era. Those guys played every night. They were available. You kind of had a good idea, unless a dude was really, really hurt. I turned the TV on. I was going to see who I was supposed to see tonight. And there are too many nights that's not the case. And I think that is the number one criticism I hear, more so than, oh, they're not as good as Kobe used to be or Jordan used to be or this. It's not that. It's we don't see them as often as we do. And then the other complaint, we talk a lot about three-point shooting now. People feel sometimes when they watch an NBA game, is it a little monotonous at times when there's 80 to 100 three-point shots taken
because you got a bunch of cats shooting threes that got no business shooting threes.
And I think even coaches in the league
were a specialist.
Admit it. Coaches in the league even admit it, that's gotten away from everybody, because sometimes I'll be watching the game courtside. I'll look over when a guy takes a shot that's a 34% three-point shooter and he took one pass and had very little daylight and let it fly, and I look right at the bench. There's got to be a reaction to this, right? No reaction.
Right.
No reaction. And so it's, to me, everybody's empowered to take that shot, which is fine, whatever. More guys can make it than ever.
Right.
That, to me, is the